Good evening, and welcome to the Creaking Closet, where we get thrilled by your fright. Tonight's tale comes straight from the Venezuelan plains, a region known as Los Llanos, a legend with many renditions, each more terrifying than the last. Today, we'll be talking about the Whistler, also known as El Silbon. Like any folkloric story, the origins of El Silbon are uncertain. It is believed that the tale was first told orally in the southwestern plains of Venezuela around the mid-19th century. The area, known as Los Llanos, is known as the hub of folkloric Venezuelan music. Hence, it is no surprise that the legend of El Silbon would contain its own musical components. El Silbon is characterized by his whistling melody that contains 7 musical notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, that follow the scale A, B, C, D ascending and E, F, G, A descending, creating an eerie whistle that's meant to terrify anyone that's listening. The story of El Silbon was obscure for many years, until Venezuelan writer and poet Damaso Delgado wrote and published the tale in 1966. Once the story reached the limelight, it was adapted for radio, making it grow even more in popularity. The Silbon's appearance remains a mystery. He's known to be a very tall man, reaching heights of 10 to even 20 feet in length. His legs are freakishly long, and the skin hangs from his face. An emaciated man with tattered clothing. He's followed by the dog Tureco as part of his curse, that bites his shins as a way to force him endlessly to wander around the deserted plains. There are at least 3 versions of the story. The general premise stays the same in all 3, and the differences are slight. In one version, the father catches his son having relations with a woman who he deemed to be a prostitute. The father ends her life, thus the son kills him in revenge. Tonight, we're going to do a retelling of this folkloric tale. So just sit back, close your eyes, and perk up your ears as you're transported into the world of El Silbon. In the western plains, many years ago, lived a young man who was nicknamed El Silbon, because he whistled and whistled all day as he walked and went from bar to bar, wasting his time. This young man was spoiled, pampered by his family, to the point that every whim he wanted was fulfilled. One day, angry because he did not like the food that was served on the table, he forced his father to look for a deer and hunt it to remove the entrails and cook them. His father went looking for it, but after a long day of hunting, he found nothing and came home empty-handed. The young Silbon, seeing that his father did not comply with his whim, in a moment of anger and under the influence of alcohol, brutally beat his father. Then took his shotgun and, without measuring the consequences of his actions, shot him dead in the head. We'll be back after a short commercial break. You know that we love having a thrilling time here at Creeping from the Closet, but sometimes we love going outside too. And what a better way to enjoy the outside than to play sports? What do we know about Transylvania? Creepy stories, gothic houses. But did you know about their team, the Transylvania Vampires? They are one of the best baseball teams out there, and they're looking for recruits as we speak. That's right, we are currently recruiting for the Transylvania Vampires, the best baseball team out there. So if you think you've got what it takes, then sign on into the bloodiest team around, the Transylvania Vampires. For more information, visit their website, thetransylvaniavampires.com. I promise you won't be missing out. Now back onto our story. When he got home, he gave the remains to his grandmother to prepare. She asked him where he got them from, and he, without any remorse, replied,
"My father couldn't hunt the deer, so I ripped out his entrails to satisfy my hunger."
His family, overwhelmed by such terrifying news, tied him to a tree and tortured him with whips in reprimand for his malevolent acts. Applying salt and chili peppers to his wounds to make his pain even more exasperating. Later, he was exiled. Grandmother cursed him, condemning him to live wandering the plains.
"You will be cast for all eternity."
From that moment, the Silbon became a wandering soul that died alone. Many of the plainsmen who have seen it say that it is a fearsome 20-foot scare that walks while emitting its chilling whistle and carries on its back, inside an old and ragged sack, the bones of his unfortunate father. It searches the nights for drunkards and womanizers to suck their navels and ingest the liquor they have drunk. Legend also tells that he usually chooses a house and sits in the corner of it to count the bones in his bag while singing his whistle. If several members of the house manage to hear it, nothing happens. But if they don't hear it, one of the people from that home wake up dead. If you listen to the whistles and they seem real close, the Silbon is far away and there is no danger. If you hear them far away, you have no escape. The Silbon is close. And you are in danger. That was the legend of El Silbon. What do you guys think? Was it a little bit too frightening? What originally inspired me to do the video on this story was actually listening to the original recording of the show from the 60s, back when I was a third grader. For whatever reason, in the Venezuelan education curriculum, they play the original recording. I don't remember the context as to why we were listening to it, but I remember it being so terrifying because of like the radio and like the sound effects that they were using. So hopefully I was able to emulate that for you guys so we can all live the same trauma. In any case, there are some folks that believe that they have had encounters with El Silbon. Otherwise, the legend wouldn't still be prominent to this day. So let's read one encounter by a Redditor called Jester_18 from the subreddit Creepy Stories. I was in my second house. My second house is pretty far away from the actual town and it is surrounded by fields. It is also near the sea, so we go there for our summer holidays. I went there for some days so I can clean it a bit because there are many insects dying in our floor. I forgot to tell you that my aunt is our only neighbor. Anyways, I was sitting on our couch watching my phone when I suddenly heard a whistle behind me. I immediately looked back, but there was nothing behind me. Then I heard the whistling again. I looked in every corner of our house, but nothing. Then I looked out of the window and saw it. It was far away in the field. It was at least 2 feet tall and had a sack in his back with some bones being visible. It looked at me and it started to run towards me. Thank God my aunt's bulldog saw it and started barking at it. When it heard the dog, it started running away, really panicked. I didn't know about it till I searched on Google the characteristics of that thing. So that is just one person's experience with El Silbon. The Silbon's existence is highly debated, as if it's just an urban legend or if it may have any credibility to it. Some folks even going as far as saying, "Do you have the same fear of the aliens from the Independence Day movie?" There are videos of both creatures, both are not real, both came from man's imagination, and the Independence video is much clearer than the El Silbon video. So why are you afraid of things that are not real? When you believe in things that you don't understand, then you suffer. Superstition is the way people start to believe in things that are not real. This is the same reason people tell scary stories around campfires at night. If you tell the same scary story in the daytime, it would not have the same effect. Not a sermon, just some food for thought. But at the same time, I understand the people that have seen El Silbon, or they believe they have, being completely terrified and truth to the legend. After all, it's been a part of the culture for so many centuries for a reason. There are even folks that have specific preferences of which version of the legend is their favorite. Here we have another commentator saying, "I prefer the version of the story where El Silbon killed his father for beating his mother. I mean, who jumps from eat deer to eat dad just like that?" And it's true, it is a very huge gap in the story. How does one version go from telling things one way, now it being known for a spoiled boy that had an insane temper tantrum? There's a lot of questions as to the divergence of the story and what is the true history of El Silbon. Sometimes some things are better left unanswered. I personally haven't had any encounters with him, and I'd rather keep it that way. But I don't know, do you guys think it's real, or is it just another myth, another fake story? You let me know down in the comments below. Thank you for listening to the Creaking Closet. We hope you weren't spooked off by our tale. Next time, we'll be covering the infamous sea nymphs known as sirens. If you'd like to support the podcast, make sure to click like and subscribe. If you need me till then, you know where to find me. Thank you, and good night.